Every time I say I'm going to try to post every day, I automatically stop posting every day. I don't know why that is. I'm working on fixing it, but 3 videos in 1 week is pretty good for me. So here we go. So, in these times, that sounds so cliche, in these uncertain times, I know it is very easy to start worrying. Or perhaps you've been worrying, you've never stopped. Maybe you're just like a pattern habitual worrier, or maybe you felt uneasy back in 2020 when everyone was feeling uneasy and it never quite went away. If any of those things are the case, don't feel bad. It's not just you. But the good news is, I'm here to help you with some techniques that I put into practice in my own life to help me stop worrying and hope they can help you stop worrying too. Number one, there's a myth that probably most of us believe that we have to solve all of our own problems. We have to know all of the answers. Nothing could be further from the truth. Think about it this way. When you were born, there were trees, there was grass, there were animals, the sun was already rising and setting, there was the moon. All of these things were put in motion, and you did not have a single word of input into them. You weren't responsible for them. You didn't choose the family you were born into. You didn't choose your gender. You didn't choose your name, even. You were just sort of born, and things were already set in motion. For some reason, we assume that we have to have all the answers. And honestly, there are a lot of factors that contribute to that. It could be the people around you who look to you for answers that you don't necessarily have. It could be a parent, an employer, someone who puts unrealistic expectations on you. It could be yourself. Maybe you've put some unrealistic expectations on yourself. Maybe you're too hard on yourself. It could be society. Society tends to do that a lot too. But the good news is, all of those things that were happening when you were born into this world and you had no input into how they happen, you're not responsible for making the moon rise at night and the sun rise and set every day. You're not responsible for making the wind blow. The good news is those things are going to continue to happen regardless. And in the same way that those things work themselves out, whatever your situation you're in currently that you're stressing about, it'll work itself out too. Not only that, so I'm not advocating that you be lazy or that you don't take the initiative when you can, but I always say do what you can, do your best, make sure you're doing good works and that your desires in the situation are aligned with what's right and what's good for you and for the people around you. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot else that's in your control. So the most you can do is do your best and think positive. And if you're a spiritual person, if you have a relationship with God, if you want a relationship with God, talk to God about it. Then put it out of your mind. And if you're tempted to think about it again, return to prayer, journal about it, do some positive affirmations, train your mind to think positively instead of what if it doesn't work out, think what if it does. But what you shouldn't do is repeatedly play negative scenarios over and over and over again in your mind. So own the part of your problem that you can own that is attributed to you, and the rest, don't worry about it because you don't control it anyway. Number two, think about what you plan to accomplish by worrying. That might sound a bit strange, but the trick to that exercise is there's absolutely nothing you can accomplish by worrying. Worrying won't solve the problem. Worrying won't make you feel better about it. The only thing worrying will do is stress you out, cause you headaches, and eventually probably impact your health. So just don't do it. And just don't do it might seem like it's easier said than done, but the truth is it's a practice. So practice turning off a negative thought every time it comes into your mind. Instead of thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get this done, do what you can, and anything beyond that point is a matter of you thinking, it's not up to me to figure out the how. And that's the truth. We apply ourselves, and then a lot of times the details and how things work out aren't really up to us. And the part that's not up to you, just imagine it working out in your favor. Worst case scenario, let's say it doesn't work out in your favor or in a way that you imagined would be in your favor. At least you haven't also consumed your life with worrying about it and making yourself feel worse about it. And number three, adopt a peaceful habit that you can pick up and turn to whenever you feel tempted to worry. So that new healthy habit might be journaling, it might be gardening, it might be as simple as going for a walk whenever you feel stressed out. Just go for a walk around the block, or if you're at work, a walk around the building, a walk around the office. You could pause and do some deep breathing whenever you have worrisome thoughts. Go drink 8 ounces of water if you're starting to worry. These things, not only are they good for you, but it's impossible for you to think a healthy thought and an unhealthy thought at the same time. So if you're doing something healthy and really focusing on it, that's another minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, hour, not worrying. And believe me, you will see a difference in your mental health once you learn to disrupt that vicious cycle of having these menacing, worrisome thoughts. So I'll tell you a quick story. When I was small, let's say like 8, 9, 10, maybe 11, 12, I would write letters. I had a parent that was very abusive growing up, verbally abusive, emotionally abusive. And so whenever there would be like a situation with that, I would write a letter to that person and, express my anger that way. And I think just in knowing how things work with me, things, used to work with me back then, and how other people I know process anger, a lot of times, like the angst and the negative effects on your mental health come from not processing anger in a healthy way. So, things are going to make you angry, but you have to deal with those emotions in a way that is not self destructive, that doesn't hurt other people, and that keeps you safe. And writing is a great way to do that. You can write a letter to that person telling them how angry you are, laying out what hurt you exactly. And it's a good way for you to figure out how you feel and why certain things bother you, why certain things trigger you. And it actually helps you avoid those triggers in the future. And you're not carrying around the anger, the burden. You're not bottling up your negative emotions. You're letting them out. And so I think that's a really good exercise if you can't talk to the person or if you're working on your anger. If you are afraid of them finding the letters, you can just like shred them, burn them, like write the letter. I would leave the letter for like a day or two. And actually, that parent found like a couple of the letters. And I mean, nothing really happened. Like, I think one time that parent like wrote a letter to someone else or pretended to write a letter to like a third party about like their side of the conflict and like left it where I could find it. But that's a different story for a different day. Anyway, I was able to sort of process things. I was able to very effectively process a lot of just like negative emotions and the experience of the abuse that went on in our household just by writing. So the same thing is true of worry. If you're really worried about something, put those thoughts down on paper. Do what's called a brain dump. Just write down everything that's in your head and you can read it back. And a lot of times when you read your writing back, it helps you understand yourself better. And it also helps you problem solve. You see solutions that you never saw before, healthy, good, effective solutions. You see like flaws in your thinking. It's the same as talking to someone and they're like, actually, you know what? Maybe you were wrong when you did XYZ. When you have it in front of you on paper, there's no judgment. You have time to calm down and rationalize, and you can see what you did in the situation. You can see your side, or like if you're worried, you can see how realistic your concerns are, whether you're going overboard with the worry. I just wanted to give you a few sort of healthy coping mechanisms because I know with a lot going on in the world, people are feeling the stress mentally. And this channel is about finding ways to live softly, no matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing. So be mindful of your mental health. Don't forget to take care of you first. Remember, like they say on the plane, put your own oxygen mask on first before you put the oxygen mask on your neighbor who might need help. That doesn't mean don't help people, but obviously you can't pour from an empty cup. So just make sure you're good. And that's about it. If you need to talk to somebody, find a trusted counselor, go to therapy, do teletherapy, do like video conference therapy, whatever you need to do, as long as it's healthy and constructive. That's all I got for this video. I will see you again very soon in the next one. Till then, take care, be well, and bye for now.